Well, 7 customers of gold dealership firm Men's Gold have been granted bail a while ago after they were arrested by police following a demonstration to demand their locked-up investments. Scores of disgruntled customers from across the country staged a demonstration in Kumasi earlier Tuesday, burning car tires and blocking roads there. They defied a warning by the Ashanti Regional Police not to go ahead with the protest. We will get the latest on the situation shortly, but first, Love FM's Prince Appiah has a wrap of how the protest went.
So earlier here at the Amekom branch of the Men's Gold office, aggrieved customers pitched camp here. They burnt ties and in the process blocked this particular road which connects the central business district of Kumasi to the Amekom and adjoining communities. And all that they were saying was that they want their monies and investments in Men's Gold given to them. For them, they believe that the president is in town, and again, because the Asante Otufo has been petitioned a number of times, they are going to march straight to that particular area and then press home their need.
Yes, it is against the Public Order Act. What is more against the Public Order Act than when 1.8 million Ghanaians are dying, and we claim that because of Public Order Act, we should sit down and just watch.
Just last week, somebody died at Kaswa.
You don't worry. I'm coming. Why must we sit down there? The laws were made for with people. It's not Ghanaians. The laws are made to govern Ghanaians and to protect us. And when we did peaceful demonstration, when we petitioned even the IWOCO, IGP, and all the major key stakeholders in this country, including the president, we didn't get any results. So they shouldn't sit down there and tell us that if the government and the key institution, they don't act on this issue, you just fold our arms and watch, thinking that we have to come and seek. Our man will go down the drain and will come to seek permit from police. It will not happen again.
So are you ready to face the consequences?
We are ready. With the 1.8 million customers of Men's Gold, we are willing to die. Yes. We are all willing to die because we are ready. We are dying. We are all dying. We petition. Listen, I'm coming. We petitioned the police 4 months ago. We wrote to the police 4 months ago, Kumasi police. What happened? We are heading towards Otufo and NPP head office because we are NPP sympathizers. This is Kumasi, the stronghold of NPP. We are going to burn all our cars, our membership card with NPP. We are going to burn them. Anything that has to do with NPP and President Akufo-Addo, if he doesn't find lasting solution to this problem, we will ensure that justice is served.
The police, on the other hand, stated yesterday that these aggrieved customers should not embark on this demonstration because they have not gone through the proper processes to acquire the permission to do so. So this morning they came here to ensure that they do not continue from this particular point.
There are sanctions, there are implications to that. So we have to identify the leaders, call them, and then the necessary processes will be taken. So for now, we'll leave it here for now. We'll be able to identify the leader. We'll call them. Since they are threatening to embark on the demonstration, this time I would want them to use the appropriate channel or go through the necessary processes. So we'll definitely be inviting the leaders because we came, we tried identifying the leaders as they claim, but we did not identify even a single person.
Have you arrested anybody?
My understanding is 3 persons have been arrested, but I'm yet to confirm that.
Then the fire service also came in to ensure that the burnt ties and the debris were cleared off this particular road to allow traffic to flow. My name is Prince Appiah, reporting from Amekom, Kumasi.
And Prince joins us on the line with the very latest on the situation. Prince, we understand 7 customers who were earlier arrested today have been bailed. What are they being charged with?
Yeah, these 7 customers have been charged with unlawful assembly and offensive conduct. Unlawful assembly because the police explained that earlier they were supposed to secure some permission from the police before they could go on to the demonstration, but they didn't do that. And so they've been charged by unlawful assembly. And then offensive conduct because they were burning a lot of ties in the middle of the road, blocking traffic in the process. So these are the charges leveled against the 7.
And Prince, you've been speaking to some of the leaders of this protest. Have they given you any indication that these protests will continue in spite of the arrests?
Yeah, of course, the indication I'm getting from the leadership is that they are going to continue with this protest until they get their monies from Men's Gold authorities. Whether government is going to intervene to get them their money, whichever way it's going to go, they want their money back.
All right. Many thanks for that update. Prince Appiah is my colleague at Love FM in Kumasi. Now, as you know, the aggrieved customers are appealing to government and the Bank of Ghana to intervene and help them retrieve their money. Shortly, we will hear from the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, who says they sent several warnings to customers to desist from engaging with the gold dealership firm. But first, listen to Amanda Clinton, a lawyer who represents some of the aggrieved customers, responding to accusations her clients defied the Central Bank's warning and suggestions that they were greedy.
In terms of SEC shut down this operation a few months ago and could have done it a lot earlier. And everybody has a responsibility because Bank of Ghana, for instance, monitors when large transactions are credited. And so if you've got transactions of $1 million, $6 million, etc., due diligence-wise, you have to inquire, about those transactions. And the lady from the Bank of Ghana also mentioned that there was no visibility inside the operations of the company. We would beg to differ because Bank of Ghana went through extensive lengths in order to gather reports, as Ace, the lawyer at Benciencio, confirmed on Joy FM over the weekend. They went through extensive research, bought gold themselves, saw the issues, and could have triggered SEC stopping people taking money, as in stopping people depositing money. So if deposits were stopped a few months ago, they could have been stopped a lot earlier. And the other issue here is that people are saying that they were greedy. What the public doesn't know is that 90%, 80 to 90% of people who invested in Men's Gold literally reinvested. So Men's Gold offered them schemes towards the end of their investment and said, we'll give you 15% more if you reinvest with us. So people kept the principal in and reinvested. And year after year, the money just kept turning over. So Bank of Ghana cannot say this at this point in our humble estimation, because if you had somebody selling tainted water to the public and people were dying, government would step in. So if SEC is now stepping in because obviously the product isn't there, then they should have stepped in when Bank of Ghana compiled all those reports and should have triggered them saying that it can't be operational because it was only in the 5th year that it was the big transaction.
Well, the Bank of Ghana remains resolute in its decision not to intervene in the plight of the Men's Gold customers. Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Elsie Awazi, says the bank has done enough to caution customers of the effects of their actions and will therefore not offer any form of intervention. She spoke with Daniel Daze on the Super Morning Show.
Bank of Ghana has been very clear for a long while about the fact that this was an unlicensed operation. We were not responsible for it. We warned the public at different points in time. We told everybody if they continue to keep their money there, they did that at their own risk. And that's all I can say about it.
But it's still within the powers of the bank to move in and close an institution that is holding itself as a financial institution and is not regulated, is it not?
Well, we had started the process of close consultation with other stakeholders, which we had wanted to work with. You don't just get up and close an institution. You need to understand what's there. What are they holding? Whose deposits? In what amounts? How are they invested? If you close them, where can you find it so people can get? And so that process, it takes a while. And with Men's Gold, we had no visibility at all in terms of what was going on there. So it was a process to unravel the mystery behind it and then at some point to act. But we were working in close consultation with other agencies. And of course, it was closed down by the action of one of our sister regulators. And so that's what it is. But we had warned the public that they were at risk.
So now the public is on their own?
As far as we're concerned, we had issued enough warning. and I think that we had done our work.
Well, away from Men's Gold, but still on banking, the second deputy governor says Heritage Bank's license was revoked after carefully studying their books. She adds they are ready to appear before court anytime they're hauled.
You know, we've examined all the records available to us, internal and external, and everything we said is backed by the facts available to us. Okay.
Does that then mean that these checks may have happened, but the licenses were issued? The license was issued.
We have verified the facts and the records available to us, and we're standing on firm ground when we say the things we've said in our press release. Okay.
But what do you say to persons, and it's not just Heritage Bank former board members who say this, but almost all the banks that have gone under? We find persons within saying that, look, they are being targeted. The Bank of Ghana is being selective. Since you are here, let's clarify that. Are you being selected?
What would be the basis of that allegation, of that claim? I mean, we have...
Heritage, for instance, has named something saying that you're stating falsehood, which you dispute, of course, but that's their position.
I did dispute that. And people are well within their rights to dispute actions of the central bank and dispute facts. In the end, there are processes, you know, for confirming who's right and who's wrong. And we would encourage people to pursue those. But we have acted based on information available to us. We have used the same law. We have used facts available to us, which we have cross-checked, which we have investigated and confirmed, based on which we've taken action. And based on that, it will be very difficult for anybody to show that we have been selective or we haven't applied the law fairly. I mean, one of our greatest responsibilities as a regulator is to be fair, but also to be firm. Also to be firm.
Of course.
And we're committed to the rule of law. Just as we want to act within the confines of the law, we expect everybody else to operate within the confines of the law, and that we will make sure.
Well, she also assured customers of Heritage and Premium Bank they will have access to their funds through Consolidated Bank. The bank has purchased assets and facilities or liabilities of the two entities after the deadline for the new minimum capital requirement elapsed last week. She reassured that banking transactions with the now defunct banks will continue effectively.
Consolidated Bank had taken over 5 banks as of August 2017, and for that, a bond of 7.6 billion was issued to it by the Ministry of Finance on behalf of government. So the 7.6 billion is the asset that it got, right, from government to support, operating the accounts that were transferred to it. Out of that, 3.2 billion of that bond was monetized by the Bank of Ghana to provide liquidity to CBG, because the bond is a good asset. However, it pays coupons twice a year, and then you have to wait for maturity, to get the principal. So we monetize that, meaning we bought that. We bought a portion of the bond to provide upfront liquidity to CBG. Now, what people need to understand is that after I took over those banks and those deposits, although money had been given to it to pay out as and when depositors needed their money, you also have to understand that there's a process by which claims have to be verified and validated. And some of that took a long time because of the state of records at those banks that they had taken over. The examples of some of those banks that had commingled banking accounts with capital market accounts, investment accounts. And so a customer would come up to CBG and say, here's my receipt, I have money, a deposit with the bank, with the erstwhile bank. And it would turn out after verification that that deposit did not exist at all, or that it was rather a claim on the investment wing of the group and not the bank. So that took a while. And all of this was done in a very transparent manner. Customers were constantly informed and updated by CBG. So that took a while to verify. And there were all sorts of related record-keeping, verification processes that delayed payments for a while. But I can say for sure today that CBG is well capitalized, it's liquid. It's got a good asset on its books, it's solvent, it's liquid, and it's doing business. It's actually getting in new deposits every day.
You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Arba Kumsin. We're taking a breather, but still to come, Ghana Education Service orders shutdown of Chiripone Senior High Technical School following clashes between Concumbers and Chikosis over a parcel of land.
Education Service has directed that the schools remain closed until there's peace in Chiripone.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for Saboba calls for review of the curfew imposed on the area, but police insist the situation remains the same until there's improvement in the situation. We'll bring you details shortly after this break. You're welcome back. The Ghana Education Service, in collaboration with other stakeholders and the Education Ministry, has ordered the shutdown of the Chiripone Senior Technical High School following clashes between the Kokombas and Chikosis over a parcel of land. The clash has left 4 dead. At least 4 other basic and primary schools in the Chiripone district have also been closed down indefinitely over safety concerns. The decision follows consultation with the Regional Security Council and other security agencies in the region after an assessment of the situation there. Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum says instructional hours that will be lost over the period of the shutdown would be made up for. He tells Joy News the safety of the students remains paramount.
Money disturbances is unfortunate to say the least. At the Ministry of Education, it's always safety first. If the children are not safe, they can't learn. You don't want to put children in harm's way. As a result, Ghana Education Service has directed that the schools remain closed until there's peace in Chiripone. And when there is peace, schools will open and they'll go back and do their their educational activities. And if, as a result of this, any instructional time is lost, they will make it up. But at this point, we want to advise parents to keep their children at home until the security situation improves.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Saboba, Charles Minton, is calling for the review of a curfew imposed on the area. He said the conflict is currently between Chikosis and Kokombas in Chiripone and not tribes in Saboba. Mr. Minton appealed to the Northern Regional Security Council to intervene.
I cannot walk in Saboba town. Any corner I pass, the youth are attacking me. So I beg you. And I want to say that in this situation, your security men on the ground have done more than necessary for us. They have been very wonderful, very professional, and we commend them highly. I also want to plead with my chiefs to warn our people. The security are here to guide us. It is because of our safety. So if we provoke them, then we'll have ourselves to blame. So let us continue to do what will help to bring peace and lasting peace to this area. It's very shameful that we are fighting. And so, Minister, the curfew, we beg you.
But the Northern Regional Police Commander DCOP Timothy Abonga, in his response, says the curfew will be reviewed if they pick signals to do so. He called for cooperation from the youth of the area, adding security personnel dispatched to the area are there to guarantee their own safety.
The youth, the elders, the chiefs, opinion leaders. What I want to say is that we need your cooperation to be able to do what is expected of us as security agencies. As you ask for review of the curfew, you need to cooperate with our security agencies so that on the ground, the report can be sent to our regional minister, who is the chairman of RISEC, to confidently say that we can review the curfew. We need your support. And I know in this part of the country and the region, when the elders speak, we the young ones will obey without question. MPs have spoken, ministers have spoken, the chiefs have spoken, our Royal Highness have spoken. And all is that we should maintain peace. We should keep the peace. We should cease the fire. Don't let us go out there to misconduct ourselves, to commit any crime. It is not well in this side. We don't want the fight. It is going on. But what do we do? All what we should do to support is to see how best we can contribute to the solution of the problem.
Let's stay in the north because news just coming in. The Yana Yakubu Andani the second funeral committee has petitioned the chairman of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, Asantehene Otumfuo to the second, over what it describes as fresh obstacles to the performance of the funeral of the Yana Yakubu Andani the second. According to the Funeral Planning Committee, the continued stay of the regent of Na Mahamadu Abdullahi IV, Bolin Lana Abdullahi Mahamadu, at the palace of the Mbadugu presents a major obstacle to the performance of the funeral. The petition, which was signed by the chairman of the planning committee, Tong Lana Yakubu Andani, and copied to the president, Nanado Dankwe Kufuor, and National Security Minister Albert Kandapa, explained that the palace of the Mbadugu would house the Yana's chief imam and the Queen Mother of Dagban, the Gunduna, who played critical roles during Yana's funerals. And I quote, it says, whilst the house in question is the traditional residence of Mbadugu, it is also the place where the Yenili Imam, which is the chief imam, and the Gunduna, the Queen Mother, take up temporary residence before the commencement of the funeral rites of a Yana, in which all the three play vital roles. The significance of the house in question is also in the fact that it is the final stop of a newly enskinned Yana upon leaving Zohi before he is eventually ushered into the Gbewa Palace. Therefore, if the said premises are under alien occupation, the funeral of Yana Yakubu Andani II cannot proceed. You're welcome back. Now, families of 7 persons shot dead by police at Manson Kwanta in the Ashanti region are to receive a total 1.75 million cedis compensation. President Ekufuor, who announced this on Tuesday at the launch of the Zongo for Peace and Development Initiative in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, says each family will receive 250,000 cedis. The compensation follows a report by a fact-finding committee into the 17th July 2018 fatal shooting of the 7 persons at Manson Kwanta within the Amansie West District. The fact-finding committee found there was no facts to establish the deceased persons were armed robbers who were engaged in the exchange of fire with the police.
I cannot come to Kumasi and not revisit the unfinished business of the death of 7 of our compatriots at the hands of some police personnel last year. As promised, we set up a committee to look into the matter. Based on the recommendations of the committee, I asked the Inspector General of Police to interdict the police personnel involved. Processes have been initiated that will result in the prosecution of any police person who is allegedly found to have acted outside the law. I'm happy, though, also to announce to you that a compensation package totaling 1,750,000 Ghana cedis. That is 250,000 Ghana cedis for each of the 7 families. Is to be paid to the dependents of the deceased. Even though money cannot replace the life of a human being, it is being offered as a way of accepting the responsibility of the state in this tragic affair. In the circumstances, I appeal to you to continue to exercise restraint as this sad, unfortunate matter is addressed within the confines of the law and due process.
Well, since the incident, 21 police officers have been interdicted with a recommendation from the fact-finding committee to prosecute them. The president urged residents in Manson-Kwanta to disregard attempts by politicians to make political capital out of the tragedy.
I know some irresponsible people are exploiting the inevitable gap between the occurrence of the event and its final resolution to instigate residents of Asawase to resort to violence. I urge you to continue to ignore these agents provocateurs and continue to hold the peace as you have done so admirably up to now. I assure you that justice will be served. I am determined on it.
Now, a driver and conductor of a Metro Mass Transit bus intercepted on Sunday at Nkwanta carrying a submachine gun and 2,100 munitions were on Tuesday morning arraigned before Nkwanta Magistrate Court. The two, Tony Kweku Bwedu and his conductor Samuel Labi, have been charged with 2 counts of conspiracy and unlawful possession of firearms.
The suspects on Sunday were arrested on board the bus loaded with ammunition concealed under passenger seats and the boot of the vehicle. The two were then picked up by the police after they failed to produce owners of the ammunition, explaining the items were given to them by an unknown individual at the Chudu terminal to be delivered in Kwasa. Tony Kweku Bwedu and his conductor Samuel Labi appeared before the Nkwanta Magistrate Court, presided over by Baba Isahako Idi, to respond to conspiracy and unlawful possession of firearms charges leveled against them. Presenting the case, the prosecutor, Detective Victor Gadese, pleaded the court for more time to gather evidence to prosecute the suspects. The suspects were then remanded in police custody for 2 weeks to continue assisting with investigations. ASP William Ayenso is the Nkwanta District Commander.
When the driver was interrogated, he said it was given to him by somebody to be delivered to another person at Prasa. Whether he can identify the person or not, he said, well, he cannot. So it means he has to be held for carrying weapons without authority. So it was today that we sent him to court, and then the court has remanded him into police custody till 22nd January. So that police will complete their investigation.
He said he could not confirm if the ammunition were en route to Chirpinit district of the northern region where there are clashes.
There is fighting going on at the north, but I cannot tell whether they are sending those items to those people or not. Because from Kwasa, there are so many towns ahead Kwasa. So I cannot say specifically they are selling it to those places or not.
Meanwhile, the Kwasa chief, Ubor Tazan Kunja, has expressed worry at the interception of the ammunitions.
Yes, I got information from somebody and I called the police commander and he confirmed that it is true. And I was worried, I was disturbed because that thing is coming into Kwasa there. I don't know why people are bringing that ammunition to Kwasa, and I don't know their brain behind bringing those ammunition into Kwasa. So I told the police commander they should do proper investigation, get somebody, anybody involved in that such an act, they should let the law take its course.
Fred Kwame Saris report for Joy News.
Now, 80,000 teachers have been recruited and posted to senior high schools across the country as part of government's free SHS program implementation. That's according to Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. He tells Joy News some of the teachers are currently undergoing reposting to schools where their services are most needed. This comes as students on both the gold and the green tracks go to school for the first time together to prepare for the final exam.
As part of the double track, the president authorized that we hire 8,800 more teachers. Out of that, approximately 8,000 have now been deployed. to the various schools. And initially there were schools that did not enroll the number of students that they needed in terms of various subject areas. So initially a school may have requested for 5 science teachers, and then they will come back and say, we'd rather need 8 because we've gotten more science students. There are schools that will say, we'd rather that you take away the visual arts teacher that we're going to post to us because we don't need visual arts teacher. The number of students in visual arts have gone down considerably. So at this point, as I speak with you, our various regional directorates of education are doing some reposting of some of the new teachers that were posted to various schools. But other than that, many schools have gotten the teachers that they need. The few who don't have them, they are working on it right now to make sure that they get the full complement of teachers that they need.
Meanwhile, the ministry has been responding to some claims by former President John Mahama on the double-track system when he met party supporters at Sefi Akontromba in the Western region. First, listen to former President John Mahama.
The free SHS policy has been poorly implemented.
I think man confused. Nancy the timetable biaba. You say second year ni third year for count. Have you said second year for called March? Implementing system no manaye basa.
I have never said anywhere that I was going to abolish the free SHS program. All I said was I was going to properly streamline the policy and make it work.
We abolish the double track, traffic lights, no, you be year free up. And Kodani school the same time.
Now they say there is double track, the red, the green, and everything is all over the place.
Look at what will happen to quality in the next few years.
Well, the ministry has described the comments by the former president as unfortunate. Dr. Yao Oseidichim says Mr. Mahama's claim that students will only have 82 days in school is inaccurate.
And, we are happy that everything is going according to plan. We have students spending time in school whilst others were at home, and now they are together, and they are going to now work together and actually end the first semester of the academic year together. And the Form 2 students have finished 4 months, and it's been a long period of time for them. They are not used to spending 4 months in school, but they've just done it. So now is their rest time, now is their vacation time. So 2019 is where we see the full scope of our double track in operation.
All right, you talk about double track, and it's been a subject of controversy. You know, many people have spoken about it, and recently, in fact, former President Mahama sought to, claim that the students will end up spending just about 80 or 82 days in school. Is that the case?
My brother, it's just unfortunate when a former president gets misinformed about something as important as education calendar in the school. I would really want to give him benefit of the doubt. I don't think for a moment that the president will intentionally misinform Ghanaians. So I'm sure he will check his facts, and his handlers, his campaign team will quickly check the facts and advise him to retract that statement, talking about 82 days out of 365. No, it's actually 162 days. So he missed it by 80 days, and I will really appreciate the idea of coming out to clarify it, because as a former president, of course, all of us respect him. So anything that comes from him, a number of people are going to think is the gospel truth. So today we have received a number of calls. Others have sent messages on WhatsApp trying to find out if in fact it is true that Form 2 students are not coming back for the rest of the year because they've just done 82, and President Mahama says it's just 82 days. It's not true.
Let's stay a while longer on education, because students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology are divided over how last year's riots that led to the closure of the university will tell on their fortunes in the end-of-semester examinations. The rescheduled examination following violent student demonstration over alleged official oppression began today. While some students suggest the jolted academic calendar offered them more time to prepare, others say it left them emotionally unsound for the exam. Muhammad Nuruddin Mahmood reports.
Students are either leaving the examination hall after a paper or are entering to have their turn. This is an exercise they should have undertaken before Christmas break, but for unforeseen happenings. It started with controversy over conversion of single-sex halls in mixed facilities. Amidst adversarial sentiment, students accused authorities of introducing what they described as oppressive rules to curtail their freedom. What had been planned to be a peaceful demonstration in protest on October 22, 2018, turned violent and ended up in massive destruction. The university was closed down and the governing council dissolved. After back and forth, government representatives on the council were replaced and sworn in to pave way for reopening of the university. Academic work resumed immediately, but authorities had to reschedule end-of-semester exams until after the Christmas and New Year break. It is unclear how the change in exam timetable affected students, but just a look on the faces of some of them undoubtedly depict obvious concerns. Gabriel Donko is a third-year BSc quantity surveying student who has just finished his paper.
We were given the opportunity to go home, and then I think the serious ones were able to study. But then I know of some people that stayed behind. It cost us our celebrating Christmas. We were thinking about the exams we were writing and all those things. So in a way, it cost us, it drained us emotionally and our happiness during the Christmas.
So I think it's not going to have any serious impact in our examination, in the sense that during the Christmas break too, because I'm a Muslim and I also decided not to go home because I know when I go home I cannot learn. So therefore I stayed on campus and I studied my books, and I think it's an individual problem.
The story is different for first-year BSc social work student Richmond Boachi Yadom.
It will affect our performance in our exams. Me particularly, I went home to celebrate the Christmas, and some stay, but I went home for the Christmas Eve, so it will affect my performance. I think will not be fresh up. Yeah, so when you go and come back to write your exams, it will affect you.
Some students have prepared enough for the battle, whilst others made little to boost their chances.
I wrote my first paper today, and then that's the social welfare nature of social welfare. I was able to answer all the questions, and then I was familiar with all the questions because I paid much attention during the lectures, and then it was cool for me. I was okay with it.
The university would go for another break on January 19 and resume in 10 days for the second semester of the academic year. Adai Emmanuel, however, wishes lectures could continue after the semester exams because 10 days for him are just not enough for the break.
For the 10 days, it's also an issue because we have to take our things back home and come back again just for 10 days. And I don't see that as relevant because during that moment, Legon, let me see, they'll be opening on 31st. So the 10 days, I don't see the reason why we should go home because I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea.
You should stay.
Yeah, something like that.
Can't finish an exam, then you start with the second semester. And what of the lectures? What of the markings? What of some process you have to go through some process before you come back? You understand? You have to make some certain rooms for arrangement of things. You can't just finish examinations. Okay, what of the arrangement of the chairs and all that? Who's going to do all that? You understand? At least that's why they gave you a break. I'm not sure they will even force us to go home because it's going to be very short. We have foreign students here too.
I think I will not agree to that because as we are over here right now, we are loaded with a lot of stress and stuff. So we need to, after that, we need to go home and release some stress and come back and continue. But you see, we are using the same stress to pass through to the next semester. I think it will not go with us. So we need to sometimes adjust to the system and go back home and come back.
Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report for Joy News.
Now, Rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, Professor Philip Ebo Bonzi Simpson, wants changes in the law to prevent members of parliament from taking up ministerial appointments. He made this comment at the Maiden Constitution Day lecture held in Accra Monday. Emmanuel Jivini's report has more.
Delivering the lecture in Accra, Professor Ebo Bonzen-Simpson called for a review of the current provisions in the Constitution which mandates the President to appoint majority of his ministers from the legislature. The strict separation of the two arms of government, he believes, would deal with the inefficiencies posed by an individual handling both positions and strengthen Parliament, largely seen as a rubber stamp.
Not that there is not a good case for MPs being ministers, because in some democracies we do have that. But how has it worked? There is so much business to be done in a country that is hungry for development. And I even suggest that there are so many competent people out there. If you choose to be MP, that is what you chose to do for 4 years.
The often repeated claim about the competence of MPs, Professor Bonze-Simpson demanded that political parties be held responsible for fielding what he calls substandard individuals as parliamentary candidates.
It may be controversial to suggest, but necessary to suggest, that we should match the job description of Parliament and its parliamentarians with those who are qualified. And to the extent that political parties present candidates, they should be held responsible for the caliber and the competence of the people they present at all constituencies.
On his part, law professor SKB Asante welcomed the suggestion to separate the legislature from the executive.
So the question is whether we distribute our time properly. But I have no objection to outline the other model of a complete separation between Parliament and Cabinet.
The former national chairman of the governing MPP, Peter McMahon, disagrees with the two. He believes using academic qualifications as a yardstick in determining who becomes a legislator would disadvantage many Ghanaians from participating in the governance process.
If the government hasn't made room for people to qualify academically, then you are going to do what I'll call, separating other people from giving their quota to national contribution or discrimination for that matter. So I think that in areas like that, the government must first put the enabling environment for everybody to qualify academically, so that when everybody is given the opportunity to qualify, then you can say that everybody must have that qualification to compete in a legislative election.
Well, meanwhile, governance expert Dr. Eric Odro-Osai is raising some financial implications to calls to review provisions in the Constitution to bar MPs from taking up ministerial appointments. The suggestion, he believes, will mean an increase in the public wage bill as a result of engaging more individuals in the governance system.
If you separate the two positions, what is then going to happen is that you will need more people in public service. That is going to increase the wage bill, service institutions. So we need to look at all of that. But from where we have come from and where we are going as a nation, I think his point is very good. It is on point, and it is something that we need to support, except that it will require massive constitutional and legislative review to enable us to ensure that it works. And we should also look at our public service wage bill, even as we separate it, because what it then means is that previously, if you have one person performing two functions, now we're going to have two different people performing the two separate functions. What are the cost implications on financing public offices?
That's a wrap for us here on Joy News Prime. Join us same time tomorrow. Good night.
This is Joy News Prime.